R.I.P. Tom Benson. Shout out to the whole Who That Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Ooh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. I got that fever, my people. See, we not equal, my people. I'm like that dog saint underneath the steeple, my people. Got Drew Brees, he the feature, and our defense the sequel. The D-line and linebackers, man, they coming to reach ya. Make enemies some believers, cause we overachievers. DBs see 50-50 balls and we call them keepers. Y'all come follow this leader, cause Sean Payton will teach ya.
Yo, what up? Big show tonight. Numbers are already up on here, live on YouTube. Make sure you're watching us Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night at this time, 9:00, live on YouTube. This is the NewOrleans.Football podcast presented by Daniel Sant, CPA, coming to you live from the Better Call Badeau podcast studio. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got the Deshaun Watson pursuit. Aaron Wilson from Pro Football Network is going to join us at 8:30. So halfway through the show, for the people listening to the tape podcast, he's been killing that story. He's been all over it. He knows everything that's going on with that. I mean, he's more plugged in than anybody on that story. So he's going to tell us what he's been hearing. Free agency, Marcus Williams left. Saints really aren't active yet, but some things will get going there. Yep. But first, shout out to our sponsors. Like I said, Sant CPA. If you are a business owner needing some guidance with your daily accounting, Daniel Sant CPA can help get your finances in order. They provide relevant accounting information, detailed analysis, and clear communication in a timely manner. Call today, 318-321-2765, 318-321-2765, or visit santcpa.com. The number and the link are in the show notes. And, of course, my guy, Tommy Badeau, if you need legal help with any of the following: car wrecks, offshore injuries, 18-wheeler collisions, Maritime Jones Act.
You practice that.
You better call Badeau at 504-323-4777 or 985-677-1085 for your free consultation and case review. BadeauLaw.com. Numbers, link in the show notes. And, of course, Firehouse Subs, our favorite sandwich shop in America. The best location, though, by far, out of all of them, on Betts Boulevard. Go check them out. Great people. Help out the community. They get involved with helping people that are, unhomed and all that stuff. So those guys are the best, man. So go hit them up, buy a sub, and chances are they're going to do something with the money to help the community. So check all our guys out, and that's it.
Kevin. All right, man. Take a breath. You're at the rest.
You felt that, though, the bullets. I got my cadence. I got my cadence on the.
I hit you when you hit that. I was like, It was almost like a beat or something,
Yeah.
All right. Man, the first thing that comes to my mind is where do we start? But we know exactly where we start. The blitz of news just recently in the NFL as a whole, but just around the Saints has been pretty crazy. So let's just start. Let's start where everybody's here, right? Everybody not here to hear about Deontay Hardy's RFA tender. So
good move.
Deshaun Watson, what's the latest? What's going on? What's the updates? What are we waiting for? What's the deal?
We're waiting for Aaron, first of all, because he's got that hole unlocked. But no, I mean, kind of where it's at right now. It's I think it's kind of in a holding pattern until tomorrow's meeting with the Atlanta Falcons. It sounds like, look, and again, not reporting anything, not saying anything's going to happen. Everything that I've heard leads me to believe that the Saints are ahead in this pursuit. But look, if we had started a podcast at one point during the OBJ thing, everything I would have heard at one point was that OBJ was going to be a Saint. There is confidence in the building. There's confidence among the players. There's confidence just everywhere. Everybody thinks that's going to be the choice. The thing that gives me a little bit of concern is that Atlanta is involved in this. And if you are looking at this, there is nothing about Atlanta being involved in this that would lead you to think, and I mean, no disrespect, just straight up logically, there's nothing that would make you think that Atlanta being involved is a pure football decision. That to me is proximity to home, comfort, relationships. And those are things that nobody else can offer. And if those are the things that matter, that's the one thing that makes me a little bit nervous for the Saints if they are, going all in on getting this guy, and they are obviously, regardless of the 22 sexual assault claims and the things that he's dealing with and the cost that comes associated with acquiring him that goes beyond draft compensation trades. I mean, you're giving up a little bit of something
Yep.
beyond all that, so you're dealing with something and all that. So regardless of all that, I mean, it seems like to me that there might be a little bit of a thought of like checking out the home team, seeing how it feels. And if he were to go there, it would be about feeling comfort after a very uncomfortable year and maybe being in a place where he feels harbored a little bit, close to home, familiar relationship with Arthur Blank, hung out there as a kid, as a ball boy. Like that stuff nobody else can offer. But if it's about football, it's about a team, it's about the roster, it's about the fit. None of the four teams, the Browns, Carolina, Atlanta, can match what the Saints have to offer. And in that case, I would think that he's going to select the Saints. A lot of people think he's going to select the Saints. I think some of the conversations he's having that I have heard about leads people to believe he's going to select the Saints. So, but you never know. You got to see how this other one goes. And we've seen enough of these things go sideways. I mean, there's been a million players that were coming to the Saints.
And Ndamukong Suh, Jadeveon Clowney,
and then
the
here comes the
cornerback.
team in the 12th hour, and it goes the other way. So
cornerback from the Redskins, from the Panthers that end up going to the Redskins.
Josh Norman,
Josh Norman, yeah.
So we've seen this story. It's like Fast and the Furious 8 at this point, and everybody knows. They're just, but maybe there's a reboot, and it's back to the winning the bid like they did with Breeze, and I'm not comparing Deshaun Watson and Drew Brees, but that just seems like the last time like one of these like huge high profile things kind of went their way. I'm sure there's been others over the years, but they've had a string of really bad luck in some of these pursuits. And so that's kind of where it's at. Is Diana Rossini said trade compensation's been agreed to. If I'm guessing, if I'm putting together an offer, you're saying, hey Nick, what do you offer?
That's my next question. So I'm glad we're on the same page tonight.
Yeah, you can just chill for a minute. I'm gonna like Sean Kingston. I'm gonna take us there. So yeah, if you ask me what I would give up, I would probably say 3 first. I think that's the main course you're filling out the plate with that. Throwing a third and probably Cesar Ruiz, and that would probably be my trade compensation for him. Never know what it's going to be, but I mean that seems to me to be a fair and reasonable offer for a team that's in need of interior help. They need 3 guys. They got 2. They're still short 1. Yeah. That would seem to be, and he's a first round pick recently. So that to me would seem to be fair compensation. It's a lot. I mean, and it hurts, I think that hurts, and it would change how you have to pursue building out the roster. I think it's out there. I mean, Tron's waiting to see what happens here. But I think even from the Saints' perspective, letting a guy like that go is harder if you make this trade for Deshaun, because A, you're closer, and B, how are you replacing him if you don't have early draft picks? Like, there aren't a lot of good second-round offensive tackles. There aren't a lot of good offensive tackles on the open market that are available for less than like 18, 19 million. So why not just sign the guy that you have? Because look, we're being real. Like they get Deshaun in, purely football, nothing. Let's say the team, nothing fractures, everything keeps going forward, and this works out behind the scenes, and they're able to absorb the suspension, and it doesn't derail them. And like I said, the locker room doesn't have dividing lines or anything like that. And I'm sure there will be some, but let's say that they're mended enough. He comes back. Alvin comes back from his presumed suspension. Deshaun's presumed suspension. I mean, I think it's a team, if they get a couple wide receivers, that's good enough to compete for a Super Bowl next year. I mean, I really do believe that. You got to replace Marcus Williams. That's a huge hole. You got to get a couple wide receivers. Jarvis Landry was rumored to be out there. From what I understand, the level of involvement was grossly overstated at this juncture. And I think that's probably true I think everything's on hold right now, because like, where are you going without him? But okay. So that's kind of where things are at right now.
All right, that's the pod. That's the pod. You guys, we'll be back next Tuesday. To wrap. No, I'm just messing around. Yeah, I mean, so just this whole saga, right? This whole saga, it's like, there's it seems like the team is pretty much on hold with, all the decisions that they may or may not be, going to make, just kind of based on, this Watson decision, right? It's even like if they sign Teron or not may dependent upon that. So it's, like, do you think that's like a valid read of it? Like, pretty much nothing is going to happen until they kind of figure out what's going on with this Deshaun situation. Then they're going to try to build around him after that.
Hey, any of our all 22 members, go check the chat. We just broke a little news in there. I think it'll probably hit Twitter from someone else in a minute. But we're recording this pod, so I can't deal with it. Would you ask?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, it's, it looks like they're in a holding pattern pretty much as a team almost, other than restructures, until this situation works itself out.
Yeah, a little bit. I think everything's kind of on hold right now. Honestly, like I said, they got to clear a bunch of cap space, like you said, and really how far you go with all those restructures and everything. I think depends on what happens with Deshaun, because they do have to clear $35 million. And the other thing with Deshaun is that 12.9 dead hit helps you achieve that goal. So that's part of it as well.
Because if you extend him, then you don't deal with that cap hit there.
Yeah. So that helps clear space, and it wouldn't be the full 12.9. Like some of that money, it would stay in place, and then his money for this year would be on top. But you probably cut it in half. So I think that's probably, man, I gotta shut this phone off for a minute. That's probably something that's that would probably help you retain him. So, if we start seeing a flurry of cap moves, and I think there's one coming in a minute, I think that's probably maybe a sign of what they're thinking. And I'm not saying just one move. Like if you see like a bunch, like very quickly, it's at least preparing for the possibility. So yeah, I mean, they're going to extend Bradley Roby, so that's going to be one that's going to happen today, right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm learning as you guys are. So
yeah, so that's one that's going to happen. That's a good move for them too, because I think maintaining that depth behind Paulson and Debo's, a good one for them to have. And
yeah, he's still a 1-year player.
Someone else gets hurt too. Yeah, 1-year player, like you said. Yeah,
and you need 3 or 4 cornerbacks, right? So if you got one on the team and it helps you with the cap and you like his talent, then naturally makes sense to keep him there. Yeah. So I mean, if he does land here, and I mean, look, I think Nick alluded to this at the beginning of the pod, but I'm going to reiterate it. Like, this this whole conversation is based on like the football fit, right? And so that's from the lens that we're talking about this. There's a lot of other stuff going on, and we've spoken about that. You guys know how we feel about it. So but yeah, just heads up about that. So if they do end up getting him, like, what type of team do you think that, like, how do you think they approach building the team around him? Like, what else do you think they need to add? Like, what missing pieces are there? I know there was a report out there, and we'll see how valid it is. Some of these things get reported, but that Will Fuller was someone that was maybe waiting around to see what Deshaun was going to do. But yeah, like, what do you think the team around him looks like? Maybe you get to run, but is there any other things, any other positions, areas they need to kind of look at offensively mainly? If they're going to try to compete with him.
I'm sorry, man. I was reading it.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. This is a bad podcast right now. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
This is like what my life is like during free agency.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. When I saw the time that we were going to record, I was like, man,
the problem with my life is like, like people are telling me things, and it's just you're talking to people trying to figure out what's going on, and then like literally everybody I know is like right now watching Deshaun Watson. So it's like people I haven't even talked to in like years are like texting me like, hey, what's up with Deshaun? So like every time my phone dings, it's like, you're like, oh my God, is this it?
Are you getting some news, or is Joe Schmo asking you
about?
Is Kevin little brother asking you about what's going on with Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
So I'm shutting this thing off for a minute. Yeah.
No, I mean, go ahead, man. If you got to break something, you got to break something. I mean, that's how we rock. I was just asking about what type of moves they would need to bring. They would need to, do once they get him in the building, and what that would look like.
Deshaun.
Yeah. Like, what do you think they need? Like tight end? Like what's
so they need Teron. Yeah, Teron. Like I'm not even. You get Watson. You need to keep Teron. Like you're making the move to push all. You're all in. You're all back in. You're a Super Bowl contender. And I think the difference between him and Jameis, or him or anybody else, is that, look, I know the esteem that people want to hold Jameis in, and maybe he gets there, like we've said. But like right now, looking at it, one guy is a top 5, 6 quarterback, talent-wise, right now today in the NFL, and the other guy just isn't at that level. And with the guy that's a top 5, 6 talent-wise quarterback, you're in the Super Bowl hunt immediately. If you have one of the best tackles in the NFL to protect him, you keep that guy. It's back to the Breeze approach. Like when you're going all in and mortgaging everything, and I hate that phrase, mortgaging for the future, but whatever. Like when you're just pushing all in everything for this window, it makes sense when you have a guy like that. You have a guy like that again. And arguably Watson's more talented than Drew was in any season since 17. I mean, assuming the year off didn't affect him in the sense that, taking a year off, maybe there's some rust or something. Maybe there's some building back up, but he's that type of player. So you keep him, you keep Teron, you go get 2 more receivers. Deontay Hardy's a good start. Go get Will Fuller. Go get a Jarvis Landry type, or someone else like that. Have your 2 possession type receivers. Have your 2 deep guys, Hardy and Will Fuller, and make the defense defend every inch of the field and be able to kill them multiple ways. And you go to your 4 wide set, just have it be deadly. You got your 2 slants underneath. You got your 2 deep routes and guys that are just going to cook the safeties. And if they're too deep, whatever, like someone's going to get open somewhere. So I think that's where you start, and it minimizes your need at tight end. I don't think there's really a tight end out there right now. So you can, kind of lean on your receivers a little bit more if you stack up there. So I do that. I go get a safety. First guy I call, it's Honey Badger's my first call. I don't know if he, I think he holds the organization in high esteem. I think he loves the city that he's from, but I have read multiple comments over the years about his, feelings about living here and what's best for him personally. I don't know if he's reached a point in his life where he's better off. I don't know if he's better off,
like being somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yeah, or maybe he's at a point where he's good being here. Maybe he's reached a point in his life where he's comfortable being here. But that's my first call, and then you go from there, and you kind of see what the other needs are. But I don't really think there are any beyond that. I mean, I draft a running back mid rounds, help out for Alvin. I don't think Tony Jones Jr. is necessarily.
You may need a guard if you're shipping out Ruiz.
Might need a guard. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah. I mean, you can get one maybe in the second round. I like safety in the draft too, though, because that's a position they scout well. I mean, they really haven't made a lot of mistakes.
They got CD, they got Marcus. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a position at Von Bell, like a position in Ireland's bag. Like since he's came, they've scouted it well, and I think that's a good spot for them to draft if it's there. I mean, ideally you'd like to fill it beforehand, because you don't want to go into the draft and be in a position where you don't have a first round pick. Second round, you're looking for a safety and a guard, like 2 critical needs. Right. You don't want to have that. But I guess if he goes, you can slot in James Hurst somewhere, on the line. And
that's what I'm saying. Like he's played inside before, right? So he may be someone that you can. And then they had to, man, I forget his name. My goodness, I'm embarrassed. The rookie that they drafted last year who got hurt, or was he drafted? Yeah, but basically the rookie that got hurt last year, who we kind of didn't get to see. So there's some, the guy of Kentucky. Man, I'm just going blank right now. I've been thinking just one track mind for the last few days. But yeah, that'll be a position that they'll definitely have to look at. Just let's at least touch on it. Marcus Williams, out of here. What's your thoughts on the deal that he got from the Ravens, and any other thing about him just being gone?
I think it creates a big hole. Hey, shout out to my guy Bob, man. We need the unification song, I think, at some point on the for the Saints fan base.
Yeah, it was Landon Young. That was Landon Young. There we go. It was driving me nuts.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a huge hole, man. Like my thoughts on Marcus are they're out there for years. I think he's one of the better safeties in the league. Obviously, he overvalued himself a little bit. Maybe that's saying that we've overvalued him a little bit. 14 million. What's that make him? 7th or 8th in the league, probably. So
I was expecting like,
yes, he was seeking Man, I heard big numbers like 17.
Jamal
Yeah, like
Adams.
17. And I didn't know if he was going to get that. I thought he'd come in around 15, 16. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised the Saints didn't match him.
I'm
at
surprised they didn't
14.
need him when I saw the number. Yeah, I was like, they could have got that.
But then you think about it, and they didn't tag him, so obviously they didn't see him at that value. And I think if we were to go through their history of use of the tag, they don't tag guys at a number that's higher than they're willing to spend. Like, they aren't going to set the market against themselves. So if they don't hit the tag, like at 10.6, they're willing to do it.
Yeah, because with Jimmy Graham, it was kind of the same, right? It was
Yeah,
they basically hit that same mark, I think.
So whatever the tag was this year, like they weren't willing to go over. Like that exceeded their valuation of him, and it's a little bit surprising to me, honestly. I mean, I think he does a lot. I think
I
he
wonder what
affects
they
a lot.
offered him last year. I mean, I'm pretty sure it couldn't have been too far from what he got.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it seemed that's a big loss. That's what I'm worried about. Like, I think it's like, it's kind of gotten overblown. Not overblown, but it's kind of people are like, okay, well, Marcus is gone, but what about Deshaun? Because pretty much everybody's just sitting there waiting on that decision. So
Yeah.
I think once things settle down a little bit, that's going to be, you go look at the Saints defense as you see him missing. That's kind of one of those players you got to figure out how to replace that production.
Yeah. I mean, look, the other thing too is that if they don't land Watson, I mean, the quarterback plan quickly, like it feels like the clock's ticking. Like if Jameis goes, like it's a problem.
It's gonna be chaos, bro.
It's a problem.
The fan base will lose it. It's gonna be over, bro.
But maybe you could turn your attention to, people aren't going to like the name. Jimmy
bro.
G's out there. I think you can maybe turn your attention to maybe trading for Baker is a stopgap. But I mean, it's a significant difference, football only wise, quality, talent, all that from Watson to literally anybody else. Watson to Winston, I mean, is a major difference.
Late career Brees to Watson is a big difference. Just being honest. Yeah.
So
I'm not trying to disrespect the legend, but
yeah. One of the things that I think helps maybe protect Winston getting signed is the health of his knee. I know at least one team out there that doesn't have a quarterback right now. One of the three that you would assume is in the hunt. Yeah. They don't want to bring him in because he's not going to be able to participate in the offseason program. And if you're kind of signing a guy that you're looking at as a maybe lottery card, you want to be able to. Well, they want to be able to go all in with that guy, give them the best shot, give the team the best shot to succeed. And they kind of feel like if he's not part of the OTAs, the mini camp, the preparation isn't going to be there. So they just go another direction at that position. So
yeah.
There's a chance, maybe that's a shared thing in the thought process, and maybe the merry-go-round goes around, and that's it brings Winston back if Watson. But it kind of feels like the quarterback market as a whole is kind of stalled because people want to see what happens with
Winston,
Watson, and then
Watson,
Jimmy G would be the next one to move, or Baker would be, and then those things kind of go, and then these other quarterbacks are kind of out there, and then you go within them. The biggest shock of free agency is that Mitch Trubisky.
Pittsburgh got their guy right.
Man, immediately, like free agency hit, and like they're like, man, we got to beat everybody to Mitch. Like, who were you racing? Like, who were you racing?
Oh man, yeah. And then the NFL.com tweet, it was like, by the way,
they got their quarterback. They got who?
Like, bro, like, come on.
They got a guy that might be like, it's like, they're set for like no.
Yeah,
no, they did not just trade for that's what you tweet after Russell Wilson, like not after Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, they must have had the soccer intern, like
he could be good.
He might be
good, but like let's let him prove it before it's like they got their guy. Like no, they didn't.
Or he might be the same guy who's been his whole career.
They got Mitch Trubisky. They didn't get their guy. They got Mitch Trubisky. They didn't get their QB. Like they got, Mitch is going to give it a go.
That's America's quarterback.
Yeah, show him what you got.
Yeah. That was hilarious, man. That was hilarious. Yeah, it definitely seems like, just to your point, like the whole basically free agency as a whole is just on like a standstill. Basically, it's just this one move, and like it just goes to show, man. The NFL, I was talking to someone. It's just a for-profit game, man, and that's just like it's clear. It's been clear, and it will continue to be clear because, like, my thought was like at the start of this, I'm like, man, like how many teams gonna be in the bit, and then like. It was like no problem for like teams with like Arthur Blank is a respected owner.
Oh yeah,
right? Yeah, he's a respected owner. Like, and so like something, clearly the NFL is fine with this, and I don't have all the information, and I think people feel how they feel about it, and that's valid, right? But it just seems like I thought there was going to be more hesitancy on teams, going after him, and he kind of is in a great position now. He can, he get to do something many quarterbacks and players don't get to do. It's just pick wherever he wants to go. So
It's kind of crazy that he's in a position of power like this after
better,
everything.
he came out better after which is like
Well, I don't know if
that's
he came out better. I mean, he's the man.
football wise. I
Yeah,
mean, football
football.
wise, yeah, football. I'm like I said, this is football. Like definitely,
Yeah.
I'm not even a fan of the move. So I mean, that's neither here nor there. But I'm just mean like from football wise, he's in a much better position just because he can pick where he want to go, and he's got teams after him.
Yeah. I mean, his earning power will never be the same though off the field. Even on
Yeah,
the
that's
field,
my
I
point.
think this might hurt him. Well, I guess he's got enough years on it that by the end of this deal, he'll probably, he'll be a little bit further removed. So, but he'll never get another endorsement again. He'll never be, nobody's gonna buy their kid the jersey. I mean, it's he's definitely in a worse spot as a human being. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Football
Human
wise, like
being. Yeah, I mean, you
he's
don't
getting
come
out
out
of
that better.
Houston. He's kind of able to pick his spot from a handful of locations. There's a lot of teams that are just not going near it. But I mean, he's
Yeah,
definitely getting out of Houston and coming to the Saints, or if you choose to go to Atlanta or wherever. Yeah, I mean, you're in a better spot football wise, 100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
he exerted some
please,
power that I don't think anybody's ever really seen before. I mean, the fact that this man got accused 22 times of sexual assault, sat out a season, gotten a point, and he's picking his spot is crazy. Like,
that's the point I
football
was trying
players
to make.
aren't like football's not designed for players to have that kind of power, and he
Yeah,
had to be willing to give up a whole season to get to this point. So I don't think
he still
it's not
got
like he's like
paid. So
blazing
I
a
mean,
trail. Yeah, but I
yeah,
don't know if he's
yeah.
blazing a trail. I don't know if enough people. I don't know if there's anyone else out there. Like, I thought Aaron Rodgers would have been the guy to do what he did. He was the only player because there was some talk a year or two ago about him kind of holding out and doing
Yeah.
his thing and forcing his way out. He was the guy that I thought would take it the distance. I didn't think it'd be Deshaun Watson, but a year
Yeah.
after signing a mega deal. But
Yeah, I know.
here it is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a crazy situation. And yeah, I mean, I like I said, again, don't nobody misquote me. I was talking better football wise. Of course,
Yeah, yeah,
life
yeah, yeah.
that's
Of course.
just, that's like super obvious. That's super obvious. Um okay, okay. I thought we was giving a bad signal.
No, no.
Man, I was speaking to someone today. I was at a place. I'm not gonna say where it is because people are gonna make fun of me. And someone was like, "Man, I only like like how good is he? Like is he or it was like what type of quarterback is he? Right?" And I was like, "Man," and apparently the person just watches little one team or whatever. And I was just like, I was trying to figure out how to explain it to him, and I was like, "Well, he can like he's kind of just one of those guys that doesn't have anything that he can't do." Right? Is he can run, he can throw the ball, he can read defense, etc. So, like, what basically, what type of player is he, man? What is he? Is he like a Lamar Jackson style quarterback? Is he more of a pocket quarterback? Um, oh man,
My guy Evan in here.
Evan, what's up, man? What's up? What's up? What's up? That's funny. That's funny.
So what type of players Deshaun? Deshaun does everything, man. He's throws a great deep ball. I think he's a good rhythm passer. Honestly, I thought he was on a path to being maybe. I think at the before the allegations happened, I think he was arguably maybe the second most valuable player in the NFL, just given his age, his talent, his position. Mahomes, I would have put number one. I think you can
Yeah, I
make the case.
mean,
I think you can make the case that Watson was right there, though, is the guy behind him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not since then, a few other guys have emerged.
Yeah, that Allen has
Joe,
gotten better, obviously, and
yeah,
then Herbert is there,
Joe
Joe
Burrow,
Burrow.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I mean,
got
there's a handful of guys in that conversation now, but I mean, I think when Watson comes back, he'll quickly be back in that conversation because he's an elite level quarterback. He's 26 years old. He does everything. He runs well. He
yeah,
he throws a good deep ball. He's just a great quarterback. And you put him in this offense, that design, they get the right players around him. I mean, I think that he's going to excel very quickly.
yeah, yeah,
Alvin Kamara will help him. I don't think he's ever had a player like that to throw to. He played with D Hop, so he has had a great receiver before. I think Mike Thomas, assuming he can play at that level,
No O-line like this. Even though the O-line had its struggles at times, this will definitely be the best he's had for sure.
Yeah, and it'll take a little bit of a hit, maybe
Yeah,
some
potentially.
guys, yeah, potentially
Yeah.
if Tron leaves, I mean, that's a significant hit. If Ruiz leaves, I mean, I know people want to make their jokes. I mean, it's a little bit of a hit. I mean, it's a spot you got to fill. It's a backup becoming a starter. I think Ruiz has a little bit of upside, at least. Like there's still something there, maybe that he
There.
taps into, but obviously got to show it.
My gosh,
And yeah, but I mean, look, I mean, I think you put him on this team, and like I said, I don't know if it's next year because there'd probably be a long suspension. Alvin's suspended for a little bit, so you got to absorb it. They have done good with backup quarterbacks.
yeah.
Maybe Taysom leads you to, say he misses 6 games. If you're 3-3, like he comes back, maybe you have a shot, and you go on a run at a week NFC, get in the tournament. I mean, off you go.
Off
Yeah.
you go. Yeah. Just you broke the story on the Roby extension. Like, what do you think? Any reason? Is that just a cap space
It's
space
both.
move?
It's both. Yeah. I mean, you lower that $10 million number, you get it down, clears up a lot of cap. Saints are definitely underneath the cap now
Underneath
with
the
adding
cap, yeah.
Hardy. So
Yeah.
that story's over. So I think that's a big move for him. You invested a 3rd round pick in him. So I don't think that there was ever a low opinion of him that you wanted him out of here. I think preferably you like to keep him around.
Yeah.
Cornerback, there's always injuries. You need that depth every single year.
Positional value.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I think he's a good player. And, if something happens at safety, you got a guy that can play in the slot. If you got to drop CJ back at all to play a little more deep, I don't think you want CJ and Malcolm as your deep safeties, but
Man.
I mean, it just gives you more flexibility, more depth. If a Debo for some reason, and I don't think he will, I think he'll keep ascending, but if he takes a step back, you got a guy that can start. So I think that's I think it's a very good move. It's really good. It's a really good depth move. I think it's maybe the one spot where maybe that's the spot where they're deepest this year, actually, kind of thinking about it. Because if Quan goes, it isn't linebacker. So that might be a position where they have like enviable depth this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a position where you need it though. Yeah, like you gotta guys like you said, guys at that position just tend to get hurt, and it's something you definitely want to keep an eye on. The other news that was reported today, which is obviously significant for the Saints, is that they got 2 relatively high comp picks. It was pick number 98 and pick number 101. And so given the fact that typically, I mean, like when you look at their draft picks, that seems to be where they kind of like hit the sweet spot, right? Like the 2nd and 3rd round, et cetera. And so if you're going to be a team without 1st round picks for the next 3 years, hitting on these picks like these guys and taking advantage of these comp picks and et cetera, things like that, it's going to be real big. So I thought that was, that was like a pleasant surprise for the team, just regardless of what happens, really.
Yeah, no, definitely a good one. It was expected to be a 4th, so for it to be a 3rd is even better.
The Trey Henderson pick, yeah.
Yeah, so what do they got? 4 picks in the top 101, maybe down to
4
3
in the
picks in the
top
top 101. So I mean that's it's not a bad spot to be in if you get
4.
Yeah. It's not a
2nd
bad
and 3/3.
Yeah. So it's not a bad spot to be in at all. If you're giving one up, you're getting one back. Terry Fontenot going that's the second year they've gotten a 3rd for him. So that's over after this year. But that was a nice little come up too. I mean, you lost a valuable exec, but you get some draft compensation there. So I don't think they have any complaints about that. Aaron says he's trying to get in now, so we'll keep an eye out for him. So
Okay.
yeah, so I think that was a nice little surprise. And like you said, if they're gonna, like, that's the other thing through free agency. Like trading for Watson isn't gonna mess up that comp pick formula. So
that's
Marcus
right,
Williams going absolutely puts you on a path for a 3rd. They'll probably sign someone, offset it a little bit. But if they don't sound like a super high level player, you're getting another 3rd back at some point. But who would that be? Probably like, I don't think you're mad if they sign a receiver and lose a 3rd round pick. Yeah, right.
Will Fuller.
So there's that though. But yeah, I mean they're in a solid position to do a little bit of damage in the later rounds of the draft. And we got our guy here now.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, how's it going, Aaron?
Hey, good. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. Hey, Saints Talk. We have Aaron Wilson himself from Pro Football Network here to join us on Saints Talk. So make sure you guys go check out his work at ProFootballNetwork.com. He had an article that went up not too long ago, kind of detailing the latest situation on the trade. And you can follow Aaron on Twitter at Aaron Wilson NFL and Aaron Wilson _NFL. So yeah, Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so for the people that, and everybody here is probably pretty plugged in, Aaron's been absolutely murdering this Deshaun Watson story. It's like he has the play-by-play. Like I'm hitting refresh on his feed.
I know, right?
Like at least 450 times a day. Aaron, so kind of what's your feel, just big picture kind of, and we'll dive into the details a little bit more, just kind of after the meetings with the Atlanta one looming tomorrow, just kind of generally where things stand with Deshaun's options.
Right. I was told that Deshaun is pretty open to the teams as far as like he hasn't made a decision or zeroed in on one team, but I keep hearing from several other people just that the Saints have really emerged as a really strong contender, if not the leader for Deshaun Watson. And I think it's a combination of the players that are recruiting him. I'm sure I've heard all the same things. And, guys like Mark Ingram, guys like Michael Thomas, who has the same agent, David Mulugheta, as Deshaun. And a lot of players are just like very excited to possibly play with him because he is a franchise quarterback. Players want to win Super Bowls, and Deshaun gives you that capability when the roster, the other things are around him. And I would say the Saints are right there in the mix. We'll see how the Atlanta thing goes. I can't pre-predict a meeting, but I wouldn't say that Carolina or Cleveland has done enough to be considered a leader.
Aaron, so I think Atlanta kind of came outside of the proximity of where he grew up a little bit as a surprise. Have you heard anything about, just how they emerged in it and some of the things that maybe make that?
I've even had some tell me that, and this is not from an NFL person, but some people in Atlanta are like, maybe Arthur Blank would like to be, get some relevance there. And I don't know. I couldn't, speak for why they might do something, but in my opinion, why not? Matt Ryan's really old. You do have a little bit of a relationship with him because of TJ Yates, who's on their coaching staff. You have, Deshaun as a former ball boy, grew up, it's not that close, but Gainesville, Georgia is his hometown. And, he grew up as a Falcons fan, as a big fan of Michael Vick. So it would be cool. But I was just told earlier by one source, it's very complicated because of obviously everything has to go on with Matt Ryan. Can you do it? Sure. But you just turn the page from Matt to Deshaun just like that. And I know they have Kyle Pitts, and obviously Kyle Pitts is a outstanding downfield weapon, red zone target too.
Yeah.
But is that enough? Is he joining a roster that's not that much better than what he's leaving in Houston that he doesn't want to play for anymore?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, he's talking about Super Bowls, and maybe it doesn't have to be built ready to go that year. I understand that, but how many years is it going to take for the Falcons to be good?
And just kind of, you used to cover Houston. I know you're really close to that organization. Do you have any feel for how the mechanics of a trade would work? This isn't like a bidding war situation, is it? It's kind of more like Deshaun's.
No, it's like a recruiting situation. So that's the way it was described to me, that they have to impress Deshaun. And then obviously they have to get, some kind of comfort level with Deshaun. And I know he's been with criminal charges. That's over. He cannot be, not going to, rather than say couldn't be, but they're not going to go after him anymore. That's it. So the 9 criminal complaints, the grand jury decided not to go forward with it. He had another deposition today. I think, in talking to Rusty Harden, he said it went fine. He's not going to do anything that's going to put himself, I would say, in a jackpot with the NFL as far as saying, yeah, I did this or that. Now that I'm not being, you can use all of those and open up a new investigation. So I wouldn't anticipate, other than the questions maybe leaking at some point, that becoming like, a big thing. I think there was one thing that the lawyer, Tony Busby, put out, just that was skeptical. Why couldn't he remember this or remember that? Or why does he change his phone number, which a lot of celebrities and athletes do. But I would tend to think that that's not a big issue. Maybe he gets punished at some point. It's also possible he doesn't get any punishment at all. And
Yeah.
I think it's the teams do have to get a comfort level, though, right? They've done their due diligence. I think Atlanta's super late to the game on this, though, as far as doing homework and sending investigators here. The things that Howie Roseman did, but wasn't reciprocated by him. They didn't want them back.
Yeah. So, how long do you what's this timeline, think for this decision? Like, how soon do you think they're trying
There's
to
no rush. I mean, the Texans have cap space to operate.
Mhm.
They don't have to rush it. Deshaun doesn't have to rush it. It's a pretty big decision. So what I would expect, guys, is that he will, mull it over. If that's his last meeting, if he doesn't decide to do any more, and the Texans aren't going to grant permission for anyone to talk to him unless they make a real trade proposal, then essentially he'll narrow it down, waive no trade, or tell the Texans, I would waive no trade for these teams. What they want to avoid, though, and this is kind of awkward, if they go ahead and, he says do a trade, but then Deshaun says, well, man, you got too much. The trade's bad for me, for what's going to be left with me when I get there. I've heard he understands that, the trade's going to hurt the other team. It's going to, because that's the value of him. So the trade can't be small.
Yeah.
So for the Saints, that means you're giving 3 first-round picks for the next 3 years. You're probably giving up additional draft capital, maybe a couple of 2s, and maybe like 1 player. I've heard Cesar Ruiz is someone that would make sense in the trade. I've heard a little about Ryan Ramczyk. I've never heard like someone like Marshawn Lattimore or something like that, but it definitely would be Bradley Roby, who they unloaded. Bought a 3rd-round pick from the Texans that way. But to me, it would just be guys that, they're on contracts they consider tradable, players that are positions they like, and just trying to go forward with something that makes sense. Ideally, it would be the best trade offer for the Texans, but it's not going to work that way. It's not a bidding war. It's about Deshaun. He picks his team because there's no trade. He has all the leverage.
Yeah. Last one for me. Like, what do you think are the driving factors for Deshaun in making this decision? Like, to him, like, what would make him choose one team over the other? Is it proximity to home? Is it roster? Is it, culture, et cetera? Like, what are the things that you think are driving his decision-making process?
Winning, obviously, chance to compete for a Super Bowl, like what players are on the team. One thing that has been described to me was that Michael Thomas could be sort of like his DeAndre Hopkins type target to throw the football to.
Yeah.
And so that's.
Oh, I think we lost Aaron.
I think we did too. All right. Well,
for you guys that have worn a winter coat in the press box there before, man, that air conditioning something. But to me, perhaps a place that might be somewhat accepting. I understand that he wasn't charged with a crime, but he was accused of some serious crimes, right, guys? People were saying some tough things. He was accused of some stuff that's not very good. Inappropriate behavior for sure, lewd conduct, things like that. So when you're accused of that, if you want a second chance, might New Orleans be sort of a welcoming place? I think that's something that's been said to me, that the Saints could be, that New Orleans could be a nice place for him to relaunch his career. And that's why I think the Saints, just among other reasons why it would go over well. I heard that Mickey Loomis made a good presentation. I heard that Mickey, they thought Mickey was a cool guy, for what it's worth. That's not the only reason you pick a team, but the vibe was good. The Saints, are good at this. And, so they came up here with Mickey and Dennis Allen. I'm not sure who else, and it went well. And that's, that speaks well of the Saints. And I think obviously you've seen they've done so much work. And, Nick, you've been reporting on this. It's a lot of heavy lifting, but this isn't their first rodeo with having to fix their cap. And the last one was Davenport. So, they're able to do this. And what I would expect too, this is another wrinkle. Wherever he goes, I would expect a restructure and an extension. And so you would get him another payday. Also, you'd be protecting his money, the bulk of it, against losing game checks as part of a suspension. You can't go after his bonus. You can go after his game checks. That's what's finable or suspendable, that money. So look for that. And then if his cap figure is way down from the 35, then you get some more relief. And that's one way I think this could work. I'm sure Mickey could work the numbers and get something done.
Last one for me, just kind of, it seems like the receiver market has kind of stalled. And since you cover the whole league, just kind of, how do you see that kind of, do you start to see momentum there soon? How do you think the receiver market's going to start heating up over?
I think there's still enough money for like the really quality guys like Allen Robinson. I think that he's still going, there's a deal out there somewhere for him that's going to be good. Gage got $10 million a year.
Yeah.
So, Robinson will do well. And when Tyreek, after the Kirk numbers, I think that might delay what they're working on, the negotiation with Drew Rosenhaus for an extension for him. Because I first was hearing like 21.25 to 21.75. Maybe that number has to go up now. Maybe Tyreek needs to not be DeAndre Hopkins, $27 million a year, but maybe he needs to be 22, 23. But it's frustrating, I think, for some teams. Are like Jacksonville disrupted everything because they have all this cap room and they just didn't really care.
Yes.
And they did both deals, Zay Jones and Kirk, with the same agent, C. Sandu, which is kind of interesting to me.
Well, he's
I think
going to make some money.
I think it's been a little too much money, but there's some guys out there that are still trying, good players like Valdez-Scantling from the Packers. They're still trying to find their number.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, man, we appreciate the insight. That was incredible. Keep telling that story. Everybody here is going to be locked on your Twitter feed, refreshing it all the time. So make sure you follow Aaron. And thanks again, Aaron.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, see you. Bye.
All right. What else we got? Are we wrapping up? We still going? Where are we at? Where are we at with the pod?
Man, I think we good.
Yeah, he killed that. He killed that spot.
He killed it. Yeah, he killed it. I kind of I've heard him on other spots, and when you told me he was coming on, I was like, yeah, he's gonna come with some solid info, and he always does. So shout out to him, and yeah, like we said, guys, you guys can go read his work. Aaron Wilson _NFL is his Twitter handle, and he writes for ProFootballNetwork.com. So we follow him, and you should too. Also, I follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill, and I subscribe to NewOrleans.Football, even though I work here.
No, you don't, man. You have a subscription. You are not subscribed.
I mean, I'm a subscriber.
You have granted access.
I have a subscribe button up there when I log in.
You are
I don't have any special.
You are in the active users number. I don't
have an administrative account or nothing. I got a regular subscriber account.
Nobody's got. I don't even think Eddie has an administrative. Me and Sue are the only ones.
I'm above Eddie. I'm not above Eddie.
I don't know.
We'll figure that out after the pod. So I am a subscriber, even though I don't have to pay for it. But hey, man, look, you guys check it out, man. Nick has been on top of this story, and when the situation calls, we bring in someone who's basically the number one reporter on said subject, and we don't bring in a lot of guests. You guys know that, so when we do, it's a little something. So we appreciate all you guys' support, man. If you're not, it's a lot of new people in here tonight. I see the numbers are a little bit up. We understand, but y'all got to subscribe though. So go to NewOrleans.Football for it. Yeah. I mean, we doing this. All this is, for NewOrleans.Football. So make sure you're a subscriber, because whatever happens with the Saints this offseason, whether it's Deshaun or not or some other players, it's going to be covered there better than anywhere else, regardless, right? And so this is where it's at. So if you're not subscribed, get on. If you are subscribed, we appreciate it. So you guys be good. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.